Hello. Hello. So we're here on Friday night. I've got my can of authentic mojito and we're live. Now, first of all, I need to know if you can hear me and if you can see me, because if you can't do either, then this is going to be a bit boring. So can you pop a comment up and just say if you can see me and hear me and let me know if everything's going smoothly or if I'm more pixelated or whatever. So you can ask questions as I go, that's no problem at all. But first of all, I need to know that you can see me. So pop a comment up, because for some reason, it's not showing comments like it normally would. They've come up. Excellent. Can see and hear. All good. Am I pixelated or is it clear? Because it's a bit risky around here because I live very rurally and we have really, really, really bad Wi-Fi. So hopefully you can hear me and I'm not pixelated doing that. Yeah, cool. First of all, apologise for my top. Keeps falling down. So I'm drinking mojito this evening because it's Friday night and we're almost being released from lockdown. So it's almost time to celebrate and that is awesome. What are you guys all drinking tonight, eh? What are you up to? So, tonight we're going to talk about adjustable saddles, basically because I've done quite a lot of videos over the last couple of weeks about the Wintec and the Bait saddles after I found one that had some burst airbags and we had a new one in and we looked at the new one and it all looked really good. So today I'm going to talk about adjustable saddles as a whole, so not just Baits and Wintec, but adjustable saddles that can be adjusted. So if you have any questions at all about adjustable saddles, then please pop them on the Tinterweb thing in the little comments thing. This is going live on 2 Facebook pages and also YouTube. So whichever one you're watching it on, you should be able to pop a comment and it should pop up on my computer here and I'll be able to see it and I'll be able to answer your question. So preferably questions about adjustable saddles at the beginning, and then you can ask just general questions in the future as well. I've got with me, as you can see, some trees. I've got some adjustable trees to show you some different types of trees. I'm breaking them already. God, it's going badly. Should never have had that sip of mojito. I've got a little adjustable saddle to show you. And we're going to talk about the pros and cons of adjustable saddles, because everyone knows the pros, they're adjustable, but what about the cons? So I'll get into that. I'll just check my messages. Awesome. Now, for some reason, the previous comments that have come up on Facebook haven't shown, but I think I can remember what they are. If you see me look down here, I'm not being rude. I'm looking at my computer. So my computer is there. My saddles are there. My mojito is here. And I'm here. Awesome. So let's start on adjustable saddles, because adjustable saddles are a relative, well, they're not even that new anymore, but are relatively new in terms of sort of saddlery as a whole, a relatively new kind of invention, really. And a lot of people hear adjustable saddles and think, woo, I'll buy an adjustable saddle because it will fit my horse, because we can adjust it to fit. Brilliant. Where can we go wrong? We could just end the thing here now, couldn't we? Adjustable saddles, they're adjustable, therefore they can be adjusted to fit your horse, yeah? No, sadly not. So one of the things about the adjustable saddles is that they were initially marketed as kind of fitting any horse. But the thing that's adjustable in adjustable saddles is just the width, the front, the head of the saddle, this bit here. You see this metal bar here? There. So I've got some adjustable trees here and I've got an adjustable saddle here, and I'll show you them and then we'll talk about pros and cons. So when people think of adjustable saddles, they tend to think of, this is a little Kenton Masters pony saddle. People tend to think of these saddles where they have a little gullet bar. Can you see that little orangey yellow thing in there? That's a gullet bar. So we can open up the saddle in here and we can change this gullet bar here, and that's going to change the width of the saddle. Yeah. So this is what we think of when we think of an adjustable saddle usually. And that's great because we can, if you've got a pony and the saddle fits and he's medium wide and then he goes to a wide, that's cool because we can take the gullet bar out and swap it for a wide one. Brilliant. You can also get some adjustable saddles that are on, like, this is a plastic tree here. Have you ever seen a plastic tree? This one here is a TreeTech tree, seen in the Saddle Company saddles, some of the Hastellow saddles, TreeTech, and it's a plastic tree, and in it, oh man, can you see that? There's like a dent in there, yeah? And in that dent gets put a metal bar. Can you see here? This is where the stirrup bars go here. Can you see how it sits in the saddle? And then a metal bar goes in the front here. And these sorts of saddles are adjustable on a saddle press, like a saddle adjusting machine. And it goes in the machine, and this little metal bar gets bent out or in accordingly. And again, so it's like it's similar to changing the gullet bar at the front, except you're using a machine to pull it out and put it back in again. So this can go from an extra wide to a narrow, in theory, an infinite number of times. The same as the Kenton Masters, / Thorogood, / Bates, Wintec. There's also these types. And then we get on to the wooden treed version. So this here is a custom saddle tree. The custom saddlery saddles are adjustable, but they're not plastic, they're wood, and they are adjustable again in the same way on a press. And this one has its metal bar here. Can we see there? And so these are adjustable because this metal at the front is so strong that it can go in and out without breaking. You do get some other ones similar to this. So some of the Albion ones that have got the rivet holes that are kind of oval instead of round, and that's what makes them adjustable. But yes, that's a wooden adjustable tree. And then this here is a standard wooden tree. One that we don't think of as being adjustable, but actually, similarly to that custom one, again, metal bar at the front, can go in and out a little bit. So this can go out in and out a little bit. Sometimes a saddler fitter will take this in or out a whip fitting or two. But one like this can go in and out an infinite number of times, an infinite number of whip fittings. So this is a truly adjustable tree. This is a standard tree with some adjustability. Truly adjustable, some adjustability. Let me just check my things. So when we think of the ones with the gullet bars in, so the saddles that have the gullet bars in, for example, are Kenton Masters, Thorogood, they're both the same brand. Fairfax, also the same brand. Bates, Wintec, GFS, some of the Pessoas, John Whittaker now, they do them. Ideal have just released one called the Ideal TNT, T&T, not TNT. And they, again, they've got the adjustable gullet bar in the front. And they are really good because they're marketed, well, they were initially marketed so that you, the horse owner, could adjust your own saddles. So everyone thought, great, that's brilliant. Then there's also these type ones that are adjustable on a press. So you obviously need a saddle fitter to do them because they need the machine that we have as saddle fitters. And those ones, like I said earlier, they're in the Saddle Company. Some of the Hastellow saddles, quite a few saddle trees have them in. Quite a few saddles have those saddle trees in. Trying to think of some other ones. There's also ones like Jaguar, Harry Dabbs, they're adjustable on a press as well. And then there's also some, I don't have one here because it's in my saddle shed, but we also have so the Ideal do one called the Ideal. Barnsby used to do one called the Barnsby Eye Tree, and that was one that you plugged in. It was very modern. You plugged it in and it heated up the tree, and then you put it on the horse and it molded, and then it cooled down, and then that was fine. And what else? Albion now do one, the Albion adjuster ones. They have a whole head, so the head is this bit here, and the actual head comes out of the tree, and you can replace it for another one, but that needs to be done by a saddler. What else? Anyway, that's them. That's kind of adjustable saddles. And people thought, yay, this is brilliant. I only never need to buy one saddle ever again in my whole life. It's going to fit all my horses, and I'm going to adjust it. But can you see that the common thread between all of these saddles is that the bit that you adjust is that bit at the front where the gullet bar is on the gullet bar changing one. It's the front, and that is the width of the horse. So you know when your saddle fitter comes and they take all those templates when your horse is back, the first one they take is at a place called T8, which is the 8th thoracic vertebrae, basically the 8th rib, which sounds like it's really far back, but actually the ribs start much further forward than you realise. So T8 is about 2 fingers distance behind the back of the scapula. So that's what we measure for the horse's width. Great. So these ones here, all of these saddles that we've just looked at are adjustable in terms of width. So if your horse is medium wide, we measure that. Is a medium wide, you have a medium wide tree put in, or you have a medium wide bar put in, or we adjust your saddle to a medium wide. But that would kind of imply that the only thing that we do in saddle fitting is measure the width. But we don't, because I'm sure that your saddle fitter, you've seen your saddle fitter take that T8 measurement, but then they take another measurement called the T10, and then they take another measurement called the T18, which is the last rib, because it's not just about the shape of the first one, it's also about the shape for the rest of the back. And it's not just about the width either. So we can think about the saddle fitting shape as that shape at the front, but then also further down the ribs, the shape changes. And when we change the bar in the front of a tree, nothing else down the back changes. And then we also have to think of the shape of the back sort of side on. So first of all, let's think about the wither. So some horses have a really high, super duper duper wither. Some horses have a little itty bitty wither. Some horses have absolutely no wither at all. Some horses have like an inverted wither. Some horses have shoulders that are so big and so fat that they're higher than the actual wither. None of that is taken into account when we think about that gullet bar. That shape of the wither is irrelevant to the gullet bar width because the wither is in front of where we measure. Does that make sense? And then we also have to think about other parts on the back. So think about the shape of the back, looking down the shape of the back. Some horses have really straight backs. Some horses have really dippy backs. Some horses have wibbly wobbly backs. Some horses rise upwards towards the back of their ribs. Some horses go downhill towards the back of their ribs. None of that is taken into account by the gullet bar that we change in the front. What else do we do is we look along, say we're looking at the horse's big peachy bottom, we look towards the withers, we look at the shape of their back. Is it A-frame like this? Is it flat like this? Again, some are almost inverted. They're so fat that the longissimus dorsi muscles and all the fat around it comes up and their spine's almost a dip in the middle. None of that is covered by the gullet bar at the front. So these are all different things we need to look at. Spinous processes, for example, so there's bits of wither, the bits of bone that we can feel at the top are called spinous processes. Some are really wide, some itty bitty and narrow, completely irrelevant to the width of the horse. So yes, it's very, very, very brilliant that we can change the gullet bars, but the gullet bar only addresses the width changing at the front. Nothing to do with the shape of the horse's back or actually anything else about the fitting other than the width. Does that make sense? I'm going to look at comments. Hope I'm making sense. Yeah, all looking good, clear. No pixels. Whoop, whoop. What else? So some people think, well, we can adjust the flocking because, we can adjust the width and then we can adjust the flocking for everything else. But it's not a case of that. The flocking really is more of like a little kind of fine tuning to the saddle. We can adjust it a little bit, we can lift it a little bit, and we can change the shape of the panel a little bit. But overall, this tree here, or whatever tree you have on your horse, this tree has to fit your horse. It has to fit it the width here, which is the adjustable bit, but it also has to fit the shape here, from front to back, the angle here, the width through here for the spinous processes. All of this needs to fit, not just the width. So I now sound like I'm saying adjustable saddles are bad, but I'm totally not, because they're brilliant. But what they're really good for are for saddles that otherwise fit really well, but you just need to change the width a little bit occasionally. So if you've got a horse who in the winter doesn't eat very much, or he's hunted hard, for example, and he's worked really hard in the winter, and he drops some weight in the winter and the rest of him stays the exact same shape, apart from he just gets a little bit more narrow at the front, then they're brilliant for that, because you can put the gullet bar down one, and in the summer when he's off on his holidays and he's out in the field and he eats loads of grass, you can put it back up again. Yeah, does that make sense? It's just, I think that a lot of people make a mistake of thinking because the saddle is adjustable, it will fit their horse. I am messaged so many times with people saying, can you tell me how I can work out what length saddle I need? Because people think if they get the right length saddle and then they buy an adjustable saddle, they can just use one of those little plasticky cardboard things that comes with the adjustable saddles, and they can put it on their horse and vaguely measure up and work out what width he is. And then for as long as they've got the right length and the right width, their saddle is going to fit. But that is not true at all, because everything else about the tree has to fit. That adjustability just changes the front, whether it's with a gullet bar, on a machine, anything like that. It's a real two-dimensional change. We're just changing the shape here. And when we do that, nothing else changes. Not this bit here all stays the same. We're just changing this shape here by making it wider or narrower, like that. Yeah, makes sense. I hope so. Does it make sense? Let me start answering some questions. Let me see. I recently bought a Fairfax jump saddle. Would love your opinion on them. Are they a good saddle? Number one, as long as it fits your horse. Yeah, so Fairfaxes are the same. So they're made by Fairfax make Fairfax, Thorogood and Kenton Masters. So they're all on, that's Kenton Masters Thorogood Fairfax tree, which is a plasticky tree, like a polycarbonate or something tree. And then it's got the gullet bar in the front. So it's basically your Kenton Masters jump saddle will have one of these bars here in the front. So it's adjustable with a bar. Are they a good saddle? Well, as with all adjustable saddles, it still has to fit your horse. So if it's been fitted by a qualified saddle fitter on the Society of Master Saddlers website, if you're comfortable in it, if your horse is comfortable in it, then yes, it's good. They are very popular saddles, look at the Fairfaxes. They've put lots of work, time and effort into doing lots of pressure testing on their saddles and their bridles as well. So they are well thought out saddles. And the nice thing about the Kenton Masters Thorogood Fairfax saddles is that they also think about the different back shapes. So like we were saying here about the different back shapes. So we've all heard of, for example, the Kenton Masters Cobb saddle. And the Cobb saddle is on a tree that's a bit flatter and a bit flatter this way and a bit flatter that way. So a lot of people think the Kenton Masters Cobb saddle is called a Cobb saddle because it goes really wide, but it's not. It's a Cobb saddle because it's flat. It's flat this way and it's flat this way because a lot of Cobbs tend to be flat that way and that way. And in fact, they fit onto a lot of non-Cobb horses who are straight back, like for example, Connemara with a very straight back. They often fit them. They also therefore do the other end of the equation, other end of the spectrum even, they do like a high withered saddle. So you have the Kenton Masters high withered saddle, and that's designed for something with a steep wither and with a little bit more shape to its back and a little bit more A-framed through its back. So lots of the companies now are doing different model, like different types in each model. Does that make sense? So like a Cobb one, they'll do a Cobb dressage and a normal dressage. So that's a really good thing now, is that those companies are starting to realize that it's not just about having a 17.5-inch GP saddle and you change the front. It's about having lots of different tree types within that range, which is good. Donna, hi Poppy, be like some sort. Oh, thanks. Can see and hear. Awesome. Oh, I can see and hear. See and hear. What do you think of Morris and Nolan adjustable? I didn't even know that Morris and Nolan did an adjustable saddle. Did they? Let me Google quickly. Morris Nolan adjustable. I didn't, if I'm honest, I didn't know that Morris and Nolan did an adjustable saddle. Is it a very new thing? Is it? So, yeah. So if you see this, if you hear this, tell me, do you know if it's a very new thing? Because I don't think any other saddle fitters on here. Give me a shout. I don't think I didn't know that Morris and Nolan did an adjustable saddle, if I'm honest. Hi Poppy, hi Poppy, hi Poppy. Hi Poppy. What about Little Dave's saddle where it's electric tree? It's not an electric tree. Well, it kind of is. So Little Dave is a little ex-police horse that I saddle fit for. He's featuring in, I've scheduled a post for him tomorrow. He's in that tomorrow lunchtime, so you'll see him. And he has a Barnsby eye tree saddle, and that's the one we plug in. So you plug it in. It's got a little plug here. It's on a carbon fibre tree, and it's got a little plug here, and you plug it in, and it kind of melts, heats up and sort of melts the tree, and then it does that. I have an ideal working hunter, correct length and tree shape, but needs to go out one width size. Is there a way of finding a saddle fitter who could do this? I've tried lots from SMS website, but no luck. What luck are you not having with them? You can't get one out, or they don't want to do it? Is there a reason why they don't want to take it out? Ideal are very good. Ideal will take the saddle in themselves. Probably actually They might want it to go via a saddle fitter, I'm not sure, but Ideal will certainly be able to do it, and the majority of Ideal saddle fitters will be able to do it as well. So I'm not sure what trouble you're having. Are they just too busy to come out, or? Are there different saddle makers who use similar shaped trees? For example, my boy's in a GFS Pro event, but there are other saddles which are similar shapes. Yes, there are. I'm not sure about the GFS, because I think GFS make their own, but on the whole, yes. So this here, for example, is a Orton and Butler tree, and you will find this particular tree. This is out of, I think this is a Jessica tree. So you'll find this in an Ideal Jessica, or one of our Pee Wee saddles, which is also similar to the Jessica. And I think you'll also find this in lots and lots of other saddles. You'll find this in some GP saddles. So lots of saddles use the same trees. However, I don't think GFS use plastic trees, and I'm not sure. I think that they make their own plastic ones. What's the difference between a Kenton Masters S bar and R bar? S bar is this one. So the Kenton Masters have two different types of bars. They have the S bar and the R bar. They both look exactly the same, except the S bar is short and the R bar comes from right here. It's a bit longer. And basically the S bar fits into, well, originally when they first designed them, the S bar fitted into the saddles with a square cantle. So it's S for square because it had a square cantle. And then the R bar was in round cantle saddles. It was R for round, and so it was in the round cantle saddles. So the S bar was short and for square ones, and the R bar was long and for round ones. And that was sort of on the basis that a lot of the deeper seated, like dressage saddles, for example, often have longer points. So the bar makes the points a little bit longer, and then the square cantle was on the jump type saddles, which had less shorter points. But nowadays, you can't 100% guarantee that S is square and R is round, because they mix and match it a little bit. Some of the jump saddles have got the R bar in, I think. So some of the square cantled ones now have a round bar in, and maybe even vice versa. So that's not 100% accurate, but 95% of the time, S means square for square cantle, R means round for round cantle, and that's how you know which bar is in it. Hope that makes sense. This is Gemma Norton, who said about her Ideal saddle needed widening. Some fitter recommend selling it to saddle. Some said they don't adjust. One that I know is great, can't come for 3 months. Ideal definitely do adjust. Most Ideal fitters also definitely do adjust. I know that I would take an Ideal saddle out one weight fitting. I would call around, or call Ideal and ask Ideal. Google their number. They'll be very helpful. You'll speak to somebody there. They'll be very helpful and ask for their advice, because I'm sure that they will point you in the right direction of someone that can do it. What would you suggest for a cob that is wide and getting wider? Never had an adjustable before, but thinking this may be needed. Needed VSD or GP type. He has a Fiona Cork show saddle in a 18-inch extra wide, and he's getting wider, which fits. Don't want to spend a fortune for him to expand and not fit in a few months. Well, I think one issue you might find here is that he is exceptionally wide. And whilst we're talking about these saddles that go really wide, actually, I'm going to use this as an example because it's on the top, but can you see that this tree here is, that's not a very good example. Hang on, I'll get the actual adjustable saddle. So this bar in here is a wide floor / extra wide, so it's quite wide. But can you see here that the shape of it is kind of like, if you imagine that bar, it's kind of a little bit like an upside down V. Whereas if your horse is genuinely an extra wide and getting wider, and it's in a Fiona Cork saddle, then you probably are going to find that he needs a more specialist saddle. So something a little bit more like, some people call it a hoop tree. It's kind of instead of looking like that at the front, it looks like that. So people would describe it, instead of being an upside down V, it's an upside down U. So some people would describe it as that. So I would maybe suggest that you're not a candidate for a standard adjustable saddle, because it sounds like you might need a specialist one. The Fiona Cork saddles are adjustable 2 degree as well. Definitely worth speaking to your saddle fitter about them, because yeah, I think they're made by Albion, aren't they? Oh God, I get asked this all the time. This is really awkward. Thoughts on Premier Equine saddles? I really don't like to say bad stuff about people or companies, so I'm going to say that Premier Equine make amazing rugs. My horses are all head to toe Premier Equine rugs. They do really good boots. Some of their numbness are quite good. Even got a pair of their jodhpurs quite nice. The quality that we see in the rugs isn't the same quality that we see in the saddles. And it's a real shame, because they've got such a good reputation for being making such brilliant quality stuff. So therefore everyone presumes, oh my God, the saddles must be equally amazing quality. Do you post out your own saddles from a template? I live very north of Scotland, but I love your saddles. Could do, I guess. Could do. Oh, I've frozen. I've frozen, my camera's frozen, but I've got a feeling that you can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Let me end.